Have you or a loved one ever experienced a heart attack and wasn't sure how to navigate the experience? Join me as I share Nikki's incredible journey of surviving a heart attack at 50 years old and the challenges she faced along the way. Nikki survived something many don't, a heart attack. But what changed most wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. Today, Nikki is here to share what the heart remembers even when it breaks.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm so happy that we're able to get this done. There are lots of things I want to talk about with you to help other families and people who have gone through this as well. So let's just jump right in. Nikki, describe the symptoms that you experienced leading up to the heart attack and the initial shock of the diagnosis.
Well, thinking back on that day, I was scheduled to work a 16-hour shift, but obviously still in my first shift. Just got finished eating lunch. So once I got done eating the lunch, I was hungry, so I felt like I scarfed it down. Started having like a slight indigestion. So it was like, okay. Then about 10 minutes later, I was like, all right. So I asked one of my coworkers if his wife had any Tums. So he was like, oh, I think she does. So he went in her bag and he I took 4 of them actually. As soon as I did that, I had to go out and do another flight. So that was a lapse, we'll say about 15 minutes. As I'm going out, to do my other flight, I still had the indigestion, but it started getting, the Tums didn't help it at all. So I didn't think anything of it. So me and my team, I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. We got, whatever gate we were going to start, logging on, got the load, briefing my team. We're heading to the gate. And one of the guys on my team, he just kept, asking me like, are you all right? And I'm looking at him like, yeah, I'm okay, because I'm just thinking it's just indigestion, So as we get to the gate, literally, I'm still having these issues and it's getting worse. Me being a crew chief, I have a radio on me. So
you're a crew chief of what? And I hear you saying gate and your team. So what is it that you do? I'm sorry.
Yes, I am a crew chief for American Airlines.
Okay.
So I am in charge of a team, whether it's depends on how heavy the flight is, but it's usually a team of three other members besides myself. So we are a team of 4. But if it's any heavier, I can have between 5 to 6. So as we're going out, loading the flight, I have both ends. So I had one guys back and me and the other guy was up front, but he just wouldn't take his eyes off me. But indigestion just wouldn't go. Huh? Oh, okay. You did too. So it got to the point to where, Okay. So as I'm proceeded to load the flight. Now, by this time, maybe about 45 minutes went by the time it started up. It's not normal. Nothing normal that I've experienced. And it's just, I was like out of breath, bent over. One point I'm standing up, next minute I'm like bent over to try to catch my breath. At this point, the guy in the bin, he's keeping his eye on me. I had to stop. We pretty much had the flight loaded, but I had to stop. So I walked up towards the front of the aircraft where we have a tug that's already hooked up to push out the aircraft.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there trying to catch my breath. By this time, I realized something's not right. I called the tower. Once I did that, the tower's asking me questions. And before I knew it, the guy that was in the bin that wouldn't keep his eyes off me, he grabbed the radio and he just, having a heart attack. At the time, at that moment, I did not know, but I know that I was started getting nauseous and I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, but excuse me, by the time I got out of the ladies' stall, there was a paramedic, a female paramedic looking for me. So once she got me, just to let me know that they had a gurney outside and, they wanted to, check me over, see what was going on.
At this point, were you still at the airport or?
Still at the airport, still on a ramp side.
Okay.
So still on a ramp at the airport.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have airport paramedics. So when passengers or any type of emergency happens, that they can get there before the outside paramedics get there. Okay. So once that happens, seems like everybody was there. I had outside paramedic, I had managers, but still at this moment, I did not know it was a heart attack.
Okay.
In my mind, I'm just thinking a bad case of food poisoning.
Okay. Because
because
what did you
literally
eat prior
she
to
started.
this? Like, what was it that you ate?
I ate a hamburger from a
Okay.
restaurant that was,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So, but
Uh-huh.
and I just felt that I scarfed it down because I was so
Yeah.
hungry. And
Right.
then you only get like a 30, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
But
Trying to
so
eat really
yeah,
quickly to get back to work so you can get these, your bags loaded. So you probably, because I understand.
yeah, these planes I'm on time.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you thought you had
into the,
to.
once they put me into the paramedic, I still didn't know at that time. Yes, yes, still had the indigestion, and it got worse. But they did give me nitro. Couldn't get a IV in me because of my veins. You know what I mean? But to make a long story short, the ride from the airport to the hospital. At that point, I still had no idea that I was having a heart attack.
Okay.
They dropped me off in triage, and I literally sat there for about 10 minutes before being seen by anybody. The process happened again. I had to go to the bathroom. So I wrote myself, into, the bathroom, came out, sat down, and by this time, I'm just like exhausted. I felt
Mm,
like I probably done ran a marathon and a half,
okay.
just no breath. But still at this moment, I
Mm,
had no idea that it was a heart attack.
okay.
Once, about 5 minutes after I sat down in a chair, rolled myself back to where I can be seen, a lady, one of the nurses, read my badge because I thought I heard my name. But by this time, everything was just starting to drown the sounds. I'm just trying to concentrate on breathing. So I'm really thinking this is really a bad case of food poisoning.
So you say you were
So still
concentrating on
at this
breathing.
moment, I
So were
had
you
no
short of
idea.
breath because you were trying to concentrate on breathing? So you were short of breath?
Very
Okay.
short of breath, and still the indigestion. I can say that I felt like I was
Mm,
just having a really bad case
mm,
of indigestion. But like I said, with me having to go to the bathroom, as like I was doing, I was thinking, and my thought being that I'm not a medical personnel, I'm just
mhm.
thinking health wise, I done had some bad food. That burger,
Okay.
there was something, you know what I mean? It was either the bacon
Right.
was bad or the burger, the meat was bad.
Right.
So it's crazy. So, and up to that moment, once the nurse did get me, she took me in because they knew I was coming in with chest pain. Put me on the EKG, and from there, by that time, I just remember from this day of that day, all I remember was seeing her acting frantic, and I
Mhm.
thought I heard heart attack. I wasn't
Right. Mhm.
sure because by this time I'm just like really like out of breath. And then from there, people came and okay, yeah, just and they rolled me upstairs,
Mhm.
the hard floor, and
Okay.
I realized that afterwards, after what I
Right.
mean, because at that
Right.
moment, everything else just I don't remember anything else after that.
Right. That's a lot that happened within those moments of you coming down with the symptoms of the indigestion, the shortness of breath, your coworker keeping his eyes on you because clearly he's seen a change, a physical change in you that alarmed him. So once you got the diagnosis, how did you how did you respond to that? What was the diagnosis? Do you remember what it was? Other than heart attack, do you remember exactly what they?
Well, this all happened on a Monday. So to be honest with you, after they took me upstairs, I don't remember anything from what I'm being told. I guess I was catheterized. I found out pretty much more so well later on, maybe later on that night, because probably by the time I got to the hospital, everything happened. We'll just say I probably got there at 3, 4, maybe 7 o'clock that evening. I
Mhm.
was in ICU, heavily sedated. So I remember hearing heart attack. And that day, that whole day, I still didn't realize the extent of it. I just remember, hearing heart attack. So for the next 2 days, me being heavily sedated, Tuesday, I was a little bit more coherent. So whenever I kind of understood, like, okay, I had a heart attack, still
Mhm.
didn't realize the extent of it. Like maybe day 3, that it was actually embolism on my left artery. They called it the widowmaker.
Yes,
So,
right. So that absolutely, that's what it was. You had 100% blockage
yeah,
in your left anterior descending artery.
yeah.
So that artery is one of the main arteries that provides blood flow to the heart. And the term widowmaker, when that artery is 100% blocked, which yours was, a lot of people, it's an instant. instant
Yeah.
killing. That's why they call it the widowmaker. That's where you
Yeah.
see people that are up like this and then boom, and they're
Then
gone before they even hit the ground. So do you drink or do you smoke, or what side effects or what comorbidities, health issues do you have to
to the heart attack, I've had high blood pressure, but
okay,
crazy part about it is I've been maintaining my blood pressure
okay,
because my heart attack was on the 13th. I was scheduled for sinus surgery
uh-huh,
on the 15th.
right.
So we had me and my primary care, who I've been going
Mhm,
the last 10, 11 years, been maintaining that because she knew that I needed to have the surgery. But
mhm,
we was
mhm,
just definitely on top of it as far as my blood pressure goes. Other
mhm,
than that, I don't
mhm.
smoke.
Okay.
Occasional
Yeah.
drinker for birthdays and stuff like that,
Right, right.
but not a drinker, because you can give me a wine cooler and
Mhm,
I'm tipsy. It's
right.
crap for me.
Right. So no other medical
But
issue. Right.
no,
That's
no.
wow.
So
Wow.
that, yeah, it was very, and I'm fairly active because
Okay.
the job that I do,
Yeah, I
um,
was gonna say, sounds
that
like you have a very
requires,
demanding, active job.
yeah, it's a lot of heavy
Mhm,
lifting, just a lot of walking. Felt like I was active anyway,
mhm.
working 16, I
Yeah.
worked a lot. So that's
Mhm,
going to change, since
mhm,
the event,
mhm.
because just to, back off,
Right.
and I'm incorporating a little bit more exercise and working out.
Good.
So, but other than
Good.
that, no health issues. So
Okay.
being 51 years old
Mhm.
and finding out that I had a heart attack that a lot of people don't come from was very surprising to me.
Yeah.
Was
'Cause
my lifestyle.
yeah, because I was gonna ask, was there a moment that you thought that this might be the end? Did you ever feel like you weren't gonna come out of this situation?
I guess looking back on it, I wasn't thinking. Looking back on it while I was in that situation, then I
Yeah.
had no idea. I still had no idea what was really going on. It might have been said, but
Just didn't
so
connect.
yeah. And I
Wow.
guess, with me, once I did get to the hospital, they
Mhm,
just heavily sedated me. I,
mhm,
for that, on that day, that
mhm.
particular Monday, I can remember even to this day, like a lot of stuff before then. And once I got to the hospital, but
Yeah.
once they took me away, I can't recall.
Right. I'm sure when you had your heart catheterization, they had
Mhm.
given you medication that helps for you not to remember a lot of the situations
Yeah,
after that. So
yeah.
they probably gave you something to calm you down and to sedate you so that they can do the catheterization.
Okay.
So were they able to put a did they so you had the 100% blockage
Yeah.
in your heart. So that was meaning that no blood flow was going through the arteries. Did they put a stent in your artery that you can remember?
No, they didn't. From what I was told, to this day, I don't have a stent. I don't have
Okay.
any stents
Okay.
because they said that the embolism, it was too far down. They couldn't reach it.
Okay.
They said that they couldn't even suction. They couldn't even get it to suction it out. I guess
Oh,
that's what
mhm.
they do.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I guess they gave me blood thinners while I
Okay.
was there, and I'm on. Was released from the hospital, and
Okay.
I'm on blood thinners to this day.
Okay. This is a lot to digest. And
Mm.
for people that are in their early 50s with really no lifestyle issues or health problems. So well, do you feel like you came back as the same person that you went into the hospital as?
You know what? No, because especially I can say, and I'm still doing it, learning how to trust my body.
Mm,
Because an event like that, you're scared
mm,
because my
mm,
thing is, and I had a conversation with my sister, I was afraid because I was like thinking that because I ate that burger so fast,
mm,
it caused a
mm.
heart attack.
Yeah.
Here, she was like, sis, with everything, with her medical background,
Mhm.
everything that she said it would happen either way it goes. So I had to learn how to, and I'm still learning how
Okay.
to trust my body, how to trust my heart. And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is not to be, because the first, I was in a hospital for 7 days. I was in ICU for 4,
Okay.
and then a regular room for 2 before I was released.
Okay.
The first 2 days, I didn't eat. I was afraid to eat anything, even at the hospital. So, and then I really didn't have an appetite. But I
Okay.
think really mentally, I was mentally connected, eating, and
Yeah.
so
Right.
I was like, no, I ain't
Right.
eating nothing.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
ain't eating nothing. And
Mhm.
then Too, I was like, I'm good with drinking.
Yeah.
I was good with drinking fluids, but eventually I ended up getting hungry and started
Okay.
eating, but still, like, and then once I got released from the hospital, just learning how to remember that would happen either way it goes. It would happen whether I would have ate lunch or if I would have been probably working a flight just before I even ate. But I do believe everything about that day, timing was on my side. I had a coworker that wouldn't keep his eyes off me. If it looked like that I was going to even turn around, every time I thought he was gone, he was there. I call him my guardian angel.
Right. That's sweet. That
Yeah,
is nice that, like you said, timing was on your side
yeah,
from, I mean, I'm sorry that this happened to you, but the events that seem to have taken place were in total alignment where
yes,
your family and your friends did not lose you.
yes,
That is definitely a beautiful thing. That is, woo, timing was on your side, and the universe and whomever you believe in,
yes, yes.
God, I'm just going to say it,
And I
was
believe in God. So yeah,
right. He was like, I'm not bringing you home today, girl.
slow down.
So the treatment that you received and the emotional journey, how was that through your journey, through your recovery process?
Ooh,
Did you
well,
have your doctor's appointments? Like, I learned that there was a cardiac rehab. I hadn't heard of that before. So
yeah.
what were the things that you had gone through? Or tell us about those experiences.
Okay, I had my sister come up with being hard headed. I told her I was good, but that was before I knew exactly what was going on or what
Mhm.
I could actually connect or comprehend what was going on.
Yeah.
Thankful for family. And then once I got released, of course, my family, my daughter leaning on her. She's taking care of me and plus her two kids. So
Mhm.
she was stressed. It was a lot on her, but she
Yeah.
did very well.
Okay.
Other kids too that they showed up, showed out.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, my family, we're pretty tight knit anyway, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they definitely showed up and showed out.
Mhm.
Was my number one support. They've always been supportive, so I'm not going to sit there and take that away from them.
Yeah.
Just they just definitely been my crutch, letting me lean on them. And the type of woman that I am, I'm
Mhm.
so independent, just very
Yeah.
independent and just learning. And I'm just going to keep it real, but I don't ask for help during that time. And
Yes.
they were there, without a doubt, all of them. All
Right.
from my oldest child down to my youngest.
To your youngest. Do
Yeah.
you think that this experience, this journey that you have gone through, do you think that you're vulnerable enough now to ask for help
Oh,
from your family?
without a doubt.
Okay.
And this journey that I'm on, I'm
Mhm.
still in. I'm off work right now. So
Okay.
I'm still on this journey. And then
Mhm.
once I return back to work, that's going to be a different part. That's going to be
Right.
part two of my journey,
Yes.
is getting back
Yes.
into the workforce.
Yes. Mhm.
So yeah, I went to, once I got released, they do offer cardiac rehab. I went to that, did 24 sessions,
Okay.
and it was the most wonderful thing because it helps you. My first day, I can remember going there. They do a walk test, so they just have you walk around their little lap in their little workout room.
Mhm. Mhm.
They count your steps. I didn't realize what they were doing until the end of it. But beginning of my journey, I
Mhm.
had 950 steps
Okay.
within that 6 minute walk.
Okay. Is that good or is that bad or is
Just,
that
that's just that's how they, when you come in, they kind of like get to know you. They kind of
okay?
like, what is it? The word?
You're just trying to get a baseline
Yes,
or
you are.
mhm.
Because everybody's different. There's
Mhm.
people there that had triple heart surgeries, stents, open heart surgeries. Thankfully, I didn't have anything, but I still had a heart attack. So when I started, like I said, it was like 950 steps. By the time I finished, it was almost 1600.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So
and that's
it's
just within a 24 session. Some people
right.
do a little bit longer
Okay.
because of
Mhm.
their insurance, depending on how their insurance goes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Mhm.
they take your vitals. Like I said, they take you check your weight every day.
Mhm.
You go, your blood pressure, your pulse, your heart rate. You work out. You do
Mhm.
boot camp workouts. Work out with dumbbells and or free weights. You do that for like 15 minutes every day that I went, and I went Monday, Wednesdays, and
Okay.
Friday. It was
Okay.
something different.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they had nutrition classes. They had
Okay.
psychologists you can talk to.
Right.
In the beginning, I was just like, okay. But as I got into it, that was
Mhm.
the best thing because it
Right.
helped me trust my body more.
Right.
Knowing that I was being monitored
Mhm.
by nurses and
Yeah,
doctors.
that seems like a good thing for people that have had heart attacks to start building their strength again, to get that information and the knowledge that they truly need. So I heard you say when you first went, you had 954 steps, but then towards the end of it, that had almost doubled. So am I hearing right to say that your strength was weakened due to this heart attack?
Oh, very much so.
Uh-huh. And how was that during the hospital? Like, how did you push through with your weakness and your physical strength in the hospital?
I couldn't. I was so heavily sedated. The first 4 days, like I said, being in ICU, I couldn't
Mhm,
get out the bed, no strength, in so
mhm,
much pain. So
mhm.
they were giving me what, fentanyl. Fentanyl, I think the first 2 days,
Okay.
morphine, so that was the first 2 days. I know. I think
Mhm.
by day three they might have stopped the fentanyl. I'm not sure, but I was on IVs. I had no energy. To not even be able to get up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like I said, I'm such a, independent
Yeah.
woman that it was just so hard for me to even
Mhm.
fathom that I
Yeah.
couldn't even do the little thing.
Right, that we take for granted, like you
Yeah,
said, being able to just sit up on the bed, stand up, and walk to the bathroom. It seems like you needed help, you couldn't do that on your.
yeah, no,
So, yeah, we do take for granted these things on a daily basis.
oh yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we really do. Like I said,
Mhm,
and when you're such a go-getter, when you're
mhm,
just so, something like that,
mhm.
it's a stunning. It's just,
Yeah, it
I
is.
can't even do. I can't.
Right, right.
Like,
How did you push through that though? How did you, because there had to become a point in time where you got a little bit of strength back, but how did you push through that to say, okay,
yeah.
I have to do this?
It really started like once I got through the first 4 days. And
Mhm,
once I got a little bit more trust within myself for me. And then just me kind of being determined, like, yeah, I gotta.
mhm,
My family showed up for
mhm,
me. I gotta, not just for my family, but just for
mhm.
myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
just, I got tired of just not being able to.
Mhm,
But, as
mhm,
they started kind of like getting me up and taking me off certain meds, I had to be in ICU and a little bit more sedated, a little bit longer because they had problems regulating my blood pressure. It was, with me and the pain that I was having. So
okay.
that was pretty much why that the first 4 days or first few
Mhm,
days, that because they was just like, I even had my nurses, because
mhm.
since they do rotation, 12-hour rotations, as the days go by, they went by the third day, they're just like, Nikki, you look like you got life in you. You look a lot better. I said, I'm starting
Uh,
to feel a lot better.
right,
But
right.
that's because I had a good team that took care of me. Like I said,
That's good. Yeah.
my
Mhm,
family, what they
mhm.
showed up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had too much going for me to give up. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's very important because some
Yes.
people feel that they don't have anything to look forward to, but you were the
Yes.
total opposite. You have that family support, you have that love, you had a good team, and it sounds like your hospital experience was positive, and
Yes.
they were able to keep you, to push you into that right direction. Now I
Yes.
hear you talking about pain. Where was your pain? I know you had, was it in your chest? Was it still in your neck and your arms at this point, or was it just localized somewhere in particular?
It's crazy because the whole time I didn't have any pain going down my arm that I
Mm,
can remember, or in my neck, but definitely
mhm.
my chest area.
That's where, so when you were in the hospital, that's where
Definitely.
they were treating you for the pain in your chest. Okay.
Yeah, and I think
Mhm.
maybe some of my back, which is really
Okay.
weird. Like I said, reading up on it, going to cardio rehab, and they
Mhm.
let you know some symptoms that,
Yeah.
yeah, and women,
Yes.
we have completely different opposite symptoms than men.
Yes, I was just going to highlight that. So I'm glad that you touched upon that.
Yeah,
Women's symptoms when they are experiencing heart attack, they get that. Some of them get that. Some of them say they feel like their bra is tighter around their jaw. Sometimes they get it in their neck, whereas sometimes the men get it down their arm. But women, like the indigestion, the shortness of breath, sometimes the women just get really pale. So it does sound like you experienced classic women symptoms of a heart attack, which is, wow, you were definitely a textbook case.
Yes, yes. Yeah, textbook case without any warning.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I would have never thought, and it still just shocks me that
Yeah, yeah,
I've had a heart attack.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of being pale, yes, when I was telling you about my coworker who was going out to the flight,
Uh-huh.
he said, Nikki, do you remember? Because he came to visit me once I came home. So once I was home, we had the conversation, and he was like, Nikki, do you remember telling me telling you that, Nick, are you feeling good? Are you okay? When we was walking out to the flight, I said, I remember you saying that. He said, well, do you remember me telling you that you look whiter than me? And he's really
Right.
high yellow.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't remember that part. So like I said, there's some things that occurred even on that day
Yeah.
that I still, and this was before, I even called the medics that he said to me, and I don't remember.
And people take for granted that people of color, African American, brown skinned people, they feel like they cannot turn pale. We can. Once we lose our complexion, it's completely different, and it's something that is you'll never forget. When a person of African American descent or a brown descent, when they turn pale, you can really tell. That's good that he was able to recognize that, because that alerted him that something just was not right with you, regardless of what you were saying and getting the Tums and the whole thing. That was
Yeah.
a clear tell sign that he saw something was wrong. Wow. So thank you. What is your name so we can all thank him on this platform?
Yeah, his name is James Lariano.
James Lariano, thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah,
being so attentive and responsive when your coworker needed you.
yes.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what did recovery about your own body and your life's priorities?
Well, it definitely taught me that as employees,
Mhm.
whether they're tied up or I don't
Mhm.
know,
Right, right,
timing was just of essence. Whatever
right, right.
from me calling the paramedics, getting there. This is for outside paramedics for them getting there,
Okay.
getting me to the hospital. And once I got to the
Okay.
hospital, for the time that lapsed and I didn't get
Uh-huh.
treatment, but once
Mhm.
they did get me, it was like it was show the show was on.
Right, right,
You know,
right,
they
right.
were, and everybody from what I can remember before,
Mhm.
could remember,
Right, right, right.
they were in action to save my life.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Thank
I
God.
am so grateful.
That, yeah, I just want to pause and just soak in that sentence right there. Everything was in alignment to save your life. Wow.
Yeah. And here at the time, I didn't even know that was the case.
Right.
That's even more crazy because
Mhm.
my thought process just wasn't even there yet.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, just
Right,
simple
right.
indigestion to me. This,
Right, right. Simple indigestion
yeah,
turned into something
yes,
different. So I know you said that everything was in alignment, like people were around you, people surrounded you, people helped you. Do you feel like your relationships deepened during all of this, including your recovery process?
yeah. I think it has. Of course, like I said, well, me and my family, we were tight knit anyway.
Mhm.
But yeah, it took that to the 10th power.
Right, right.
Because like you said, like I'm saying now, you
Mhm.
just never know. You
Mhm.
never know when God is going to
Mhm.
call you home. You never know when your time is up.
That is
You
true.
don't know.
That
You know
is
what I
true.
mean? In my relationship with my coworker, he worked on my team for, a couple of bids. And
Mhm.
he's a good guy, so I'm pretty cool with my team. But in his relationship, yes, and
Mhm.
his wife, yes.
Yeah,
It has definitely,
right,
we definitely check on each other more.
right.
I think he's him and
Mhm.
his wife come to visit me. They went to Thailand and brought
Mhm.
me back all
Oh,
kinds of souvenirs from
right,
Thailand, and so,
right.
and it's just the little things.
Mhm.
Little thing. Materialistic stuff
Mhm.
doesn't mean anything, but it's just the little things. Just texting, just to see how I'm doing. The calls that that's what matters to me.
Right. That is true. It is the little things and the things that people do in small ways to show that they care and that they're there for you and would, and would do it again for you. So have you found that it's harder or easier to express love or vulnerability to your friends and family since this heart attack?
No, because I feel like I've always let my family know that I love them. My coworkers at work, I'm Mama Nikki to a lot of them.
Yes.
So they know I'm the one that give out hugs. So, and I know that I've gotten a lot of text messages.
Mhm.
People texting me. More so, they text me or hit me up on Facebook because they feel
Yeah.
like they don't want to take their life or get killed. So I always make sure that I show others love the way that
Okay.
just I treat others the way I would like to be treated.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I
And
have
that's profound.
yeah, I feel like I have a lot of respect from my coworkers because I
Mhm.
give it. So
That's good. Yeah, the outpouring of love and support was just so overwhelming on this time and something that you needed because people don't realize the impact, the positive impact. And I love using those two words together. You'll hear me say that a lot, the positive impact that you put on to other people's lives. So that's really nice of you. And keep doing what you're doing because it shows in a big way.
yeah.
But on the other side, having this happen to you, do you feel like you developed any type of like anxiety or any type of emotional disconnect, and how did you deal with that?
Oh yeah, anxiety. Oh yeah, yes. Didn't realize at first, especially coming home, but yeah, I had anxiety and
Mhm.
emotional. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's very very
Uh-huh.
emotional because you start
Uh-huh.
thinking back like, dang, I almost died.
Right, 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 right. Wow.
At my 1 mark, the I would call it my 1 month mark anniversary. I'm like, wow, I'm here, but I
Right,
almost wasn't.
right.
Well, yeah, you go through a lot of
Mhm.
emotional. I'm a lot better. Look, I'm past my 3 month,
Okay.
but I'm a
Okay.
lot better now. But
Right.
you still have a little bit insecurities
Okay.
because I'm still learning to trust my heart,
Mhm.
trust my
Mhm.
body. I make sure I take my meds. Like I said, God says, Nikki, you are not going nowhere yet.
Right.
You know what? I'm going to work with you on that because
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
ready to go. There's so
Yeah.
many people who I would say that I love you all, but I love getting on my family's nerves, playing
Uh-huh.
jokes and stuff like that, sending little crazy messages.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the emotional and anxiety. Yeah, I had my doctor even
Mhm.
prescribe me, just something for anxiety because
Okay.
she was when I would start like getting, then my chest would start hurting.
Okay. Okay.
What they give you is nothing for you to take long term.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but it did help
Okay.
at the time that I did, if I still have them. So if I have to take it, I will.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
take it. She said, if I have to take it in the morning, go ahead and take it.
Mm.
Whenever that anxiety attack, whatever
Mm.
comes on, take it. But you only take it once a day. So, but yeah, I still have some little, a lot of nicks to still have.
Mm.
Like I said, this journey, it's not going to stop because I need to make sure that not just need, but that's something that I never, ever, ever want to experience again.
Right.
But at least I know if I had any symptoms, where I'm going straight. I know what to look for.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
I said, in the beginning, the first time it happened, I'm like, heart attack? I mean, would have been the last thing. If
Yeah.
you had, if nobody would have told me, and like by day 3, they were like, Nikki, so what do you think you had? I'd have been like, okay, it was a food poisoning.
Right. Right.
If,
Absolutely.
if you would have given me a test on what had happened to me, my health, heart attack would have never been on there.
Right. It's like I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to work, and then you had to add, then I'm going to have a heart attack. Like that's not something that we normally put in our on our when I'm putting up my goals for the day.
Yeah,
That's not on my list, my things to
yeah,
do
yeah,
list. It's definitely not on my things to do list.
yeah.
But when these things happen, being able to I don't want to say navigate, but just dealing with them. I was going to say accepting, but dealing with them, pushing through, and then getting to the other side.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're doing what you need to do to stay healthy on your part, instead of just being like, oh, God got it, but not doing anything to on your end, you're
Yeah.
taking your medication. You talk to
Working.
your doctor about your anxiety to help you instead of just sitting there dealing with these symptoms or that you didn't realize about, so you weren't afraid to seek help on that. So that's very important. Mental health, there are these major life-changing situations. Depression, anxiety, they come with these life-changing alterations in our lives. So I'm so glad that you were able to speak to your doctor openly and honestly. And I'm even more happy that she listened to you
Yes.
and prescribed you something to help you
Yes.
to get you to where you needed to be, to get that edge off so you could be more comfortable and relax your brain and your mind instead of it being all over the place. Those are definitely things that I'm happy about, happy to hear.
Yeah.
So do you suggest therapy for anyone that's listening that has had a heart attack and didn't want to or didn't know that they were having symptoms of anxiety or depression? Do you suggest, and I know you're not a doctor or anything like that, we're just going by your own personal experiences, but do you suggest speaking to their healthcare provider about anxiety and depression symptoms?
Oh, yes. I would
Mhm.
suggest that for anybody that, they're understanding, they know changes don't happen overnight.
Absolutely.
But it encourage you, make small changes. Once you make small changes turn into big changes.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
just you have to do
Mhm.
it. So like I said, nutritions and they have a therapist, they have a therapist a stress management therapist that you
Okay.
I'm going my appointment for my stress management is the 13th of May. I had appointments that I had to push back. They get you in there. And yes, talk to your doctor about anything. Like I said, for the first for the first month, yeah, depression.
Yeah.
You're going to emote because a heart attack. I didn't realize it takes so much out of you.
Right. Right.
Oh my gosh, you
Yes.
just.
Yes.
I mean, it takes mentally, physically,
Mhm.
emotionally. It just
Yeah.
takes so much out of you. You're just completely drained. So you have to rebuild yourself. And I'm still in a rebuilding situation.
You're still in the rebuilding phase. Yes. And I'm glad that you touched upon that. It does take a lot out of you. People don't understand. And not only, right, take a moment and let's reflect on that. You are still rebuilding. You
Oh
really,
yes,
yeah.
yes, it takes a lot out
Yes.
of you.
Yes.
But listen, do what you
Mhm.
have to do for you.
Yes.
Do what you have to do for you and your family
Yes.
because they need you.
Yes, we definitely do. We need you and we love you. We really do. And we want to see the best.
You got to
Yes. Yes.
push through it.
Right. Thank you for being this vulnerable right
Yes.
now because this
Oh
a
yeah.
lot has
It's,
happened
oh
to
yeah. It's not going
Mhm.
to change. It takes a village to help
Mhm.
you build. So I hope
Mhm.
that somebody, if anybody is listening to it,
Yeah.
just listen to your body because if not, like I wouldn't be here if
Right.
I listened to mine.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
That's so true.
But it's going to
Mhm.
be it's a journey.
It's a journey.
I'm not going to say I'm going to be off this bandwagon, anytime soon because it's
Mhm.
just going to be, a constant journey because that's something that I have to move forward from. But I don't ever want to be in that situation again. Listen to yourself.
Right.
Listen to your body.
Right.
Talk to your doctor. If you feel like
Mhm.
once you have a heart attack and you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxiety, please get help for that.
Yes.
Talk to somebody.
Yes.
Talk,
Mhm.
because if not, you'll end up with another heart attack.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's something that you want to definitely try to prevent as much as you can on your, behalf. I mean, of course, the body's going to do what the body does. But
Yes.
if we at least give the body the advantages that it needs and deserves to keep us from going that route, that
Yes.
would be something to help minimize having that route again.
Yes.
So that is very profound. If the heart attack was a message from life, what do you believe it was trying to tell you?
Honestly, the way that I worked so
Mhm.
much. I would work
Mhm.
16-hour days, literally just slow me down, taking better care, but just resting. That is the most you have to give your body rest. Because just because I'm not in take a phone call and I am a little bit more physical on the outside, that physical work still. You need to rest. That's all I've been doing. Just what it, yeah, just resting.
Right.
Giving my body the rest. Trust me, the first 2 weeks,
Right.
I couldn't do nothing but rest. I had to listen to your body.
Right.
Working 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
back to back, taking a day off, then going and doing it again. That's not enough rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Physically, you need the rest.
Right.
Rest.
Absolutely. And setting those boundaries with your job and creating a work life balance is important, and not allowing them to guilt trip you into picking up that extra hour or two or four, a day because they're short. Like, we understand things need to get done.
Oh yeah.
At work, on your job, we get that. That's what we're there to do, to work. But we also have to establish those strict boundaries for our mental health,
Yes.
for that work-life balance.
Yeah, yes, yes. For that, yeah, definitely. And the money, where everybody's in a situation to where it's financial, but what good is it if you're not here?
I heard that you had gotten like a merit because you had a heart attack on a job. Didn't you got?
I'm listening. Go ahead. I got.
I heard, did they say something to you, like, or write you up or something like that because you had the heart attack on a job and you had to take off of work? Is that what I heard? Or
Well, yeah, in the beginning, but that's one good thing about having a union. They actually, try to what was it? They gave me a point for calling out for my second shift. So I was supposed to work a double. My second shift was supposed to start at 3:30.
right.
And supposedly like once I got home and I saw that they gave me a point for that. I was like, you got to be kidding me!
Right.
I'm at work,
Right.
working a live flight, so I actually got the
while you're having a heart attack.
Yeah,
So you still did what you needed to do
yes.
for the company. So, but yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that, because that's a whole nother story and situation. Right.
Like, I love me, so the job will always be there.
Yeah, whether you're there or not, it's going to always be.
It's going to get done.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but like I said, I can't express to women, can't express to any woman out there. Just like I said, please listen to your body. You feel like indigestion, from what I hear, certain back pains, neck. Like I said, I found out neck pain, jaw pain. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm like, so being that I know about, I've learned those symptoms. So I'm still going through the journey. Like, oh my God, all right, am I feeling this or am I feeling that? But I can tell the difference. And, if it comes and goes, it's not nothing alarming, then express. I can't express it enough. Just your bodies, ladies. Listen to your bodies.
Listen to your body. Wow. Thank you for sharing such a vulnerable and life-changing experience in your life. And thank you for the great tips and advice you have given to people that may have gone through this or know someone that has, and letting them know that it's okay to relax, to speak to your doctor about anxiety and depression, and that it's okay to rest. And it does take time to trust your body. So I really thank you for this.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Welcome. So, if anyone has gone through a similar experience or have a story to share about yourself, give Nikki some uplifting, positive aspiration in the comments below, because your experiences can inspire other people, or people that have gone through this and didn't know that they were going through this and needed this support. But if you want to hear more stories like the one that we shared today, please consider subscribing to my channel, and let's support one another, our lives, our journeys, our health, and being resilient. Thank you.